Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're plunging into something that probably touches almost everyone, but maybe we don't talk about it enough. It's this weird paradox, right? We're supposedly more connected than ever thanks to, these devices we carry everywhere. But at the same time, so many people feel incredibly lonely. How does that even work? So for this deep dive, we've gathered, well, a whole stack of articles, reports, exploring this very modern problem. Our goal here is to unpack what they're saying, maybe find some surprising things, and really trying to get to the bottom of what's happening with our digital lives and, well, our real lives.
Absolutely. And this isn't just looking at numbers or trends from afar. This is really crucial for you listening right now
Yeah.
because it digs into basic human needs, big societal shifts, things that are actually affecting your day-to-day life, your well-being,
Yeah.
how we, connect or maybe fail to connect.
Okay, so let's unpack this. We have this paradox.
hmm
Endless connection promised, but loneliness is being called a public health crisis. Where do the sizes start to unravel that? What's the first big insight?
Well, the core thing is why it's a paradox. The sources are pretty clear that these digital interactions, they often just lack depth. Like one piece said, clicking like or using an emoji.
Yeah.
It's just not the same as real human engagement.
Right. It feels different.
Exactly. And what's really startling is how our brains react. They're wired for real connection, so when they get these like empty digital likes, it registers as a missed chance for genuine intimacy, which counterintuitively makes the loneliness worse. It really comes down to the quality of your relationships, not just how many clicks you get.
Quality over quantity. That makes sense. And there's actual research on this, isn't there? You mentioned a study.
Yeah, the University of Pennsylvania study.
Yeah.
It popped up in a couple of our sources.
What did they find?
They found that students who really cut down their social media time, like down to just 30 minutes a day, saw a, quote, significant decrease in feelings of loneliness and depression.
Wow. Okay. 30 minutes. That's a concrete link.
It really is. And it points to this idea of mistaking engagement for connection. It looks like connection, but it leaves you feeling empty. There's another study, too, American Journal of Preventive Medicine.
Right.
Young adults spending over 2 hours a day on social media, twice as likely to feel socially isolated.
2 hours? That's not even that much for some people.
I know, right? More time online,
Yeah.
potentially more isolation. It flips the script. And it's crucial to understand this isn't just about feeling down sometimes. The sources frame loneliness as a serious public health concern.
Right. You mentioned that earlier, like the Surgeon General.
Exactly. The U.S. Surgeon General's 2023 advisory called it a national epidemic. He actually compared the health impact to smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
15 cigarettes. That's huge.
It is. And it's not just the U.S. The U.K. appointed a minister for loneliness. This is a global thing governments are taking very seriously.
Okay, so it's a big problem, health-wise. But here's where it gets really interesting, I think. Who is actually feeling this the most? You might guess older people, and yes, the sources say they are definitely at high risk, but surprisingly, young adults, specifically Gen Z, the digital natives, they're showing up as one of the loneliest groups. That feels totally backward, doesn't it?
It really does. You'd think they'd be the most connected. But the data says otherwise. And the health impacts. They go way beyond just feeling sad or blue. Chronic loneliness, the sources explain, can lead to things like increased stress, poor sleep, even a weaker immune system.
Physical affects you.
Definitely. It's linked to higher risks of heart disease, stroke, cognitive decline later on. Plus, it can make depression and anxiety much worse, really drag down your life satisfaction, and maybe even, shorten your lifespan. It's a serious threat.
Okay, so we see the paradox, the scale of the problem, the health risks. Let's dig into the why. What are the deeper reasons? Beyond just, staring at screens too much. What's really driving this disconnection?
Well, one big factor the sources point to is how these social media platforms are actually designed. They're engineered to be addictive
How so?
through things like push notifications, those endless feeds of recommended posts tailored just for you. It keeps you coming back. And this constant stream isn't just distracting. Some sources mention the goldfish effect.
The goldfish effect?
Yeah, the idea that our constant social media use might be sort of permanently shortening our attention spans, like a goldfish, supposedly. Our attention itself has become the product. We, the users, aren't the customers anymore. Our attention is what's being sold.
We're the product. That's a chilling thought. What about the content we're seeing? Is that part of the problem too?
Oh, absolutely. That's another really concerning trend, especially on visual platforms. Think Tumblr, Instagram, TikTok. Some sources highlight this romanticization of mental illness, where content actually glorifies things like eating disorders, depression, anxiety, self-harm, making them seem beautiful or
So
desirable.
seriously, glorifying them.
Yeah. and implying they don't need professional help. There's even stuff like pro-ana content, promoting anorexia. It's incredibly damaging, especially for younger people.
Yeah, that's deeply disturbing. Does this link back to seeking connection, even if it's a damaging kind?
It seems to.
Yeah.
Which brings us to something Johann Hari talks about in Lost Connections. He calls it the loneliness paradox. He argues against the idea that mental illness is purely, a chemical imbalance in the brain. He thinks loneliness, these external factors, are major causes.
So it's not just biology.
Not entirely, according to him.
Yeah.
As traditional community structures, family, church, local groups weaken, people, especially young people, get hooked on social media for a kind of, a hollow substitute for community. It feels like belonging, but it doesn't actually nourish us.
Okay, so weakening communities, addictive tech. What other big cultural shifts are playing a role here?
There are quite a few broader factors mentioned. Urbanization is one, more people living alone than ever. I think one source said nearly 30% of U.S. households are single-person now. Yeah. And just a general breakdown of community structures, plus the rise of hustle culture.
Ah, hustle culture. Tell me more.
Well, this idea that every moment has to be productive, career-focused, time with loved ones can sometimes feel like it's wasted if it's not advancing your career.
That pressure is intense.
It is. And then you have Western values, like strong individualism, which is good in some ways, but it can also make people hesitant to admit they're lonely or, ask for help.
It sounds like a perfect storm, really, all these factors converging. But what about what we think makes us happy? Are we chasing the wrong things?
That seems to be a key message. Look at the Harvard study of adult development. It's been running for over 80 years.
80 years. What did they find?
Their main conclusion, overwhelmingly, is that the single biggest predictor of happiness in a long life isn't money or fame or career success. It's the quality of your relationships.
The quality of relationships above everything else.
Above everything else. Think about someone like Robin Williams. Immensely successful, beloved by millions, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But he struggled profoundly with loneliness and depression. It's such a powerful, sad example that external success just doesn't guarantee inner peace or connection.
That really hits home. So, okay, if we connect all these dots, knowing the problem, the causes, the stakes, how do we start fixing it? How can you, the listener, actually build real connection in this world? What's the way forward?
Well, the first thing the sources stress is that it's not as simple as just, throwing your phone away. Though cutting back helps, technology is part of the problem, but it can sometimes be part of the solution too, if used mindfully.
How so?
Like using it to maintain support networks, especially for people who are maybe isolated geographically or finding online groups based on shared interests. It has its place.
Okay, so mindful use. But what are the core strategies for building that deeper real-world connection?
The sources seem to cluster around 5 main ideas. First, prioritize deep conversations.
Not just surface-level stuff.
Exactly. Make time. Actually schedule it if you have to meet up with friends, call family, and have real meaningful talks. Ask how people are really doing. Second, and this is a big one, redefine success.
Away from hustle culture.
Right. Shift how you measure your own success. Less about money or status, more about the depth of your relationships, your contribution to collective well-being.
That's a fundamental shift in values. What's next?
Third, rebuild communities. Actively get involved. Join a book club, a sports team, volunteer somewhere. Strengthen ties with family. Even just chat with your neighbors more.
Small steps can make a difference there.
Definitely. Fourth, limit digital distractions. Set boundaries on social media. And crucially, when you are with someone, be present. Put the phone away. Engage.
Be present. Simple but hard sometimes. And the
Fifth, embrace vulnerability. Real connection needs authenticity. It means being open, not being afraid to show your real feelings or ask for help when you need it.
That vulnerability piece, that can be tough for people. Any advice on taking that first step?
Yep. It's about small risks, maybe. Sharing something a little more personal than usual with someone you trust. Seeing that it's okay, that it often deepens the connection.
Makes sense. And there was that nuance you mentioned earlier, right, about digital versus
Yeah.
real connection?
Yes, exactly. The sources are clear. Digital communication can be a lifeline. It can prevent total isolation, especially when face-to-face just isn't possible. That's important.
Yeah.
But getting that sense of belonging online doesn't seem to satisfy our deeper evolutionary needs for connection in the same way. Using the internet to keep up with people you also see in person, that's generally fine.
But relying only on digital.
That's where the problems really seem to arise. It's about finding that balance and consciously valuing the real-world interactions.
Hmm.
So wrapping up, this deep dive really highlights how our relationship with social media is, well, complicated. It impacts mental health through addiction, that weird romanticization of illness, and definitely through driving up loneliness.
Yeah. It's a powerful reminder, isn't it? We didn't evolve for this. We weren't built to stare at screens all day or, carry supercomputers in our pockets 24/7.
Exactly. So the final thought, building on all this. If the Harvard study is right, if the quality of our relationships is the single best predictor of a happy long life, and if connection is, like, the real currency of life, then what truly defines worth and fulfillment for you? Especially in a world that's constantly telling you to chase status and attention online. Are you ready to maybe stop chasing quite so hard and start truly connecting?
That's definitely something to chew on. A question for all of us, maybe, to reflect on. How can we build more genuine community in our own lives starting today?